The mahogany conference table gleamed under the law office's fluorescent lights as I watched my sister Olivia's perfectly manicured fingers tap impatiently against its surface. Even now, at our mother's will reading, she couldn't hide her smugness, her absolute certainty that she'd won. "Can we get this over with?" she asked, shooting an irritated glance at Mr. Phillips, our mother's longtime attorney. "Some of us have actual responsibilities to attend to." My name is Chloe Harper, and at 35, I was about to watch my sister try to take everything our mother had worked for. But what Olivia didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that Mom had seen through her act long before she passed. Mr. Phillips adjusted his reading glasses, his expression carefully neutral as he opened the thick manila envelope containing our mother's last wishes. I could feel Olivia's eyes on me, probably wondering why I wasn't more upset, why I sat there so calmly when we both knew what was coming. Or at least, what she thought was coming. "Before I begin," Mr. Phillips said, his voice steady and professional, "I want to express my condolences to you both. Your mother was an extraordinary woman." I nodded, feeling the familiar ache in my chest. Mom had been gone for exactly 2 weeks now, but the loss still felt raw, like an open wound that refused to heal. The past 3 years of her battle with cancer had been brutal, but I'd been there through every doctor's appointment, every chemotherapy session, every sleepless night. Olivia, on the other hand, had been too busy building her empire, a chain of high-end boutiques that she'd grown through relentless ambition and our mother's considerable financial support. She'd visit occasionally, usually when she needed something, sweeping in with designer outfits and empty promises. "Let's proceed," Mr. Phillips continued, pulling out the first document. "This will was prepared 6 months ago, at your mother's request." I watched Olivia's lips curve into a smile. 6 months ago, that was when she practically moved in with Mom for 2 weeks, playing the devoted daughter while I was away at a medical conference. I'd come back to find Mom oddly distant and Olivia more confident than ever. "I, Eleanor Harper, being of sound mind and body, declare this to be my last will and testament," Mr. Phillips read, his voice filling the quiet room. "To my daughters, Olivia and Chloe, I leave the following." Olivia leaned forward slightly, her pearl necklace catching the light. She'd always been the picture of sophistication, the successful daughter who followed in Mom's footsteps in the business world. I, with my modest salary as a high school chemistry teacher, was the disappointment, at least in Olivia's eyes. "To my daughter Olivia Harper," Mr. Phillips continued, "I leave my entire estate, including the family home, all financial assets, and my controlling interest in Harper Enterprises." The smirk on Olivia's face grew wider. She turned to me, her eyes glittering with triumph. "Well, it seems Mom knew exactly who deserved to carry on her legacy." I remained silent, my hand instinctively touching the small key I wore on a chain around my neck. The key Mom had given me 3 days before she passed, along with a letter I wasn't supposed to open until after the will reading. "To my daughter Chloe," Mr. Phillips read, his voice slightly different now, "I leave my sincerest apologies." Olivia actually laughed at that, the sound sharp and cruel in the formal setting. "Oh, Chloe," she said, shaking her head with mock sympathy. "Always the afterthought. But really, what did you expect? Running off to teach high school chemistry when you could have joined the family business? Mom knew you'd just waste anything she left you." Mr. Phillips cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable with Olivia's behavior. "There are some additional documents to sign," he said, pulling out more papers. "Standard legal forms to transfer the assets." As Olivia eagerly reached for the papers, I thought back to that last private moment with Mom. She'd been so weak, but her eyes were clear and focused as she pressed the small key into my palm. "Keep this safe," she'd whispered, her voice barely audible. "And remember, Chloe, things aren't always what they seem. You were always the one who could see the whole picture, who could understand that sometimes the most important reactions take time to develop." It was exactly the kind of thing Mom would say to me. She'd always appreciated how I could break down complex problems, see the underlying patterns. It was what made me a good teacher, and what had made Mom such a brilliant businesswoman before Olivia's influence had changed everything. "Chloe?" Mr. Phillips's voice pulled me back to the present. "I need your signature as well, acknowledging that you've been present for the reading." I signed where he indicated, ignoring Olivia's triumphant expression. She was practically glowing as she gathered her designer handbag and stood up. "Well, this has been lovely," she said, smoothing her silk blouse. I'll have my assistant contact you about transferring everything to my name. Chloe, I trust you'll have your things out of the house by the end of the week. I looked at her then, really looked at my sister. The woman who'd spent years manipulating our mother, who convinced herself that she deserved everything simply because she wanted it more. Don't worry, Olivia, I said quietly. Everything will work out exactly as it should. She frowned slightly, perhaps catching something in my tone, but quickly dismissed it. With a final smirk, she clicked her way out of the office in her expensive heels, leaving behind the faint scent of her signature perfume. Mr. Phillips waited until the door closed behind her before speaking again. Ms. Harper, Chloe, he said, his professional demeanor softening slightly. Your mother, he paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. She was very thorough in her planning. I nodded, standing up and gathering my own modest purse. Yes, Mr. Phillips, she was. She always understood the importance of proper preparation. As I left the law office, I could feel the weight of the key against my chest, and the sealed letter in my bag seemed to burn with potential energy, like the chemicals in my classroom, waiting for the right moment to react. Olivia might think she'd won, might believe that her 2 weeks of calculated devotion had secured her everything. But what she didn't understand, what she'd never understood, was that Mom had always played the long game. She'd built Harper Enterprises from nothing, navigating a male-dominated business world through careful strategy and patient planning. I got into my car, an old Honda that Olivia loved to mock, and pulled out the envelope Mom had given me. The paper was thick, expensive, the kind Mom used for only the most important documents. Across the front, in her elegant handwriting, were instructions. To be opened after the will reading. Trust the process, Chloe. I took a deep breath, slipped the key from around my neck, and prepared to discover exactly what Mom had planned. Whatever was coming, I knew one thing for certain. Olivia's satisfaction was going to be very short-lived. My hands trembled slightly as I inserted the small key into the lockbox that the letter had directed me to. I was sitting in my apartment, away from the chaos that would soon unfold at our family home where Olivia was undoubtedly already making plans to redecorate. The lockbox had been exactly where Mom said it would be, in a safety deposit box at First National Bank, accessible only with both the keys she'd given me and my personal identification. Inside, I found another envelope, thicker than the first, and a USB drive. My heart pounding, I opened the envelope and began to read. My dearest Chloe, if you're reading this, then everything has happened as I predicted. Olivia has shown her true colors at the will reading. And you, my patient, brilliant daughter, have kept your composure just as I knew you would. What your sister never understood was that business isn't just about aggressive tactics and immediate gains. Sometimes the most powerful moves are the ones that unfold slowly, deliberately, like the chemical reactions you love to teach your students about. 3 years ago, when I was first diagnosed with cancer, I began to see Olivia for who she truly was. The constant demands for money, the manipulation, the way she tried to isolate me from you. It all became clear. But I needed proof that would stand up in court and show everyone exactly what she had done. I paused in my reading, remembering those early days of Mom's diagnosis. How Olivia had suddenly become more interested in the business, how she'd started suggesting that Mom needed rest whenever I came to visit. Continuing to read, my eyes widened. The USB drive contains everything. Security camera footage from my home office showing Olivia stealing documents, recorded conversations where she threatened employees to falsify reports, and most importantly, proof that she embezzled over $5 million from Harper Enterprises through a series of fake consulting companies she set up. But the most damning evidence is of what she did 6 months ago. The will she thinks is valid, the one Mr. Phillips read today. It's a fake. Olivia broke into my home office when she thought I was sleeping and replaced my real will with a forged version. What she doesn't know is that I had cameras installed everywhere after the first time I caught her snooping. My hand flew to my mouth as the implications hit me. Mom had known. She'd known all along what Olivia was doing, and she'd let it happen, gathering evidence while Olivia dug herself deeper. The real will, along with all the evidence, has already been sent to the district attorney's office. By the time you read this, they will have already begun their investigation. Mr. Phillips has his own copy as well, with instructions to file it with the court today, immediately after the reading of the fake will. You see, Chloe, I needed Olivia to show her hand completely, to stand there in that office and reveal her true nature, to gloat and threaten you, all while being recorded. The security cameras in Mr. Phillips's office caught everything, another detail your sister never considered. I sat back, stunned by the intricacy of Mom's plan. It was exactly like her, methodical and thorough, leaving nothing to chance. The real will, my true last wishes, are very different. Harper Enterprises, the house, everything, it all goes to you, Chloe. Not because you're the good daughter or because Olivia is the bad one, but because you understand what it means to build something meaningful, to care for others more than yourself. But more importantly, you're the only one who can fix what Olivia has broken. The employees she's threatened, the contracts she's compromised, the relationships she's damaged. They need someone who can see the bigger picture and make things right. I know this isn't the life you planned. You love teaching and you're wonderful at it. That's why I've also set up a foundation in your name, the Harper Education Initiative. 20% of Harper Enterprises' annual profits will go directly to supporting STEM education in underfunded schools. You can continue teaching if you wish, but now you'll have the resources to help even more students discover their passion for science. Tears rolled down my cheeks as I read Mom's words. She'd understood it all along, exactly who I was and what I wanted to accomplish. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Mr. Phillips. It's done. The real will has been filed. The DA is moving forward with charges against Olivia. Are you ready for what comes next? Before I could respond, another text came through, this one from Olivia. What did you do? The police are at my house with a search warrant. Fix this now. I took a deep breath and returned to Mom's letter, reading the final paragraphs. Olivia will be angry, of course. She'll blame you, threaten you, try to fight this in court. Let her. All she'll do is prove, again and again, exactly why this decision was necessary. The key you're wearing doesn't just open this lockbox, Chloe. It's the key to my private office at Harper Enterprises, the real one, not the formal one where I held meetings. Inside, you'll find everything you need to understand the company, including files on every project, every employee, and every decision I've made over the past 30 years. I'm so sorry for all the pain this might cause you. Having to watch your sister destroy herself isn't easy, I know. But sometimes love means letting people face the consequences of their actions. Maybe someday this will be what Olivia needs to change. Remember what I always told you about chemical reactions? The most important ones don't happen instantly. They take time, but when they do, they change everything. I closed the letter and stared at the USB drive in my hand, knowing that the first steps of the long journey ahead had already begun.